If you've been on YouTube, you've definitely seen videos where they're comparing the New York City dirty subways to the clean ones in Shanghai or Shenzhen, the megacities in China. Now, somehow because the New York City subway, which obviously it's been running for over 100 years, I think 120 years marking this year, it's dirty and old, it means China's really recently built subway systems so much better. It's intending to say that China is so far ahead of the West in terms of infrastructure that the roads and bridges
You got me open, I keep bleeding, I keep bleeding, love.
就这桥能不能塌？
Well, obviously they don't talk about that anymore because most of it is tofu drag, as we've been covering. Now they've turned to subways and saying that because subways are better in China, it must mean China is better than the US or other Western countries. Personally, so what? Cool, you have a nice subway station. But do you have freedom of speech? Can you practice religious freedom? Do you have the right to vote? That's what I think is important. Of course, these videos don't compare the newly built Moynihan train hall in Penn Station or the new Wall Street substation or the PATH train station, because those are obviously new too. So when you put them side by side, there's really not much difference. Because the purpose here is to paint China's infrastructure as superior, more beautiful, than that of these rundown, rat-infested subway stations. Yeah, I know they're dirty. And in the process, it somehow justifies all of the CCP's bad deeds just because they have beautiful infrastructure. How about when the New York subways were flooded after heavy rainfall? It wouldn't ever happen in China, right? Or how Beijing's subway system civilized? I don't know what that is. Now, don't tell me just because one city has one beautiful subway station that it's the same across all of China. And this video is one that was filmed inside a high-speed train in China. The seats are wobbly, and it feels like you get a free massage option with your train ride. And of course, they say that China's subway system is perfectly built. No sinkhole is ever going to interfere with that process. Except for this one, and this one. These are all sinkholes that happen because while they're constructing the line, the supporting structure just isn't there. Now, more of the part of the video describes how safe China is, how there's no pickpocketing, there's no crimes. You know, nothing really happens at these subway stations, right? Of course not. These crimes are just not being reported by Chinese state media. As we obviously understand, there are issues within the civilized society, right? We see homelessness in America, we see problematic situations on subway stations, on the platform or inside the trains. there are criminal activities, right? But the idea here is that the Western countries are an open book or open books in that you can go and you can see these things and you can film them and you can criticize them. But in China, they're actively promoting this idea of cleanness when in reality it's a propaganda, it's a staged system in which they don't show you what's actually happening there. Before we continue, here's a sponsor segment from Puritang.
If there is one supplement you want to get incorporated into your diet, it's a good omega-3 supplement. It's the best all-around defender for your health. It reduces inflammation, cholesterol, improves eyesight, and reduces risk for heart problems, as well as helps with joint pain, among other benefits. Today, I want to introduce you to Puritang's green vegetables. Puritang gets their ingredients straight from the high mountains of South Korea, and the omega oils are extracted from purslane and perilla seeds. It's 100% vegan. Now, personally, I've been using Omega for about 9 years, close to 10 years now. I've recently switched to Puritang for about a few weeks now. Here's why. We mostly get our Omegas from fish, right? But that's not the best case for everyone, especially there's the aftertaste. It might not be suitable for vegetarians or vegan. So the most important part, right, we often forget is the actual concentration for Omegas. Puritang soft gels have a much higher content for Omega 3, 6, 7, and 9 than many of the brands out there. And some say that they notice there's less hair loss, more energy, lower cholesterol levels, and overall improved health. I think the best part for me is the lack of inflammation or the reduction of inflammation. Other brands also they use this high heat method to extract the oil, which in turn creates a lot of harmful byproducts. Puritang's green vegetable is done using a patented method of supercritical carbon dioxide low temperature extraction, so it preserves the natural properties and maintains high purities. First of its kind. So get it for yourself or as a gift to your loved ones ahead of the holiday season. Use my code DZ2023 and you can receive free shipping globally. Check out my link in the description and comment today.
I like how in these vlogs they never mention the misery that happened in 2021 in a subway system. So during the Zhang flood of 2021, which massive rainfall combined with the government letting loose of these floodgates in the middle of the night, suddenly heavy amounts of flood water rushed into the city in the early morning the next day. And they didn't shut down the subway system, so commuters were essentially stuck inside these submerged subway carts. And for many hours, I'm not going to go into the details because, but it was horrific. Yeah, so since then, they obviously covered up the whole thing. And, every year people send flowers there and we see these commemorations. But to say that Chinese subways are just flawless is actually, I think, a little bit ridiculous. And the idea that there's no criminal activity in China as if, it's such a perfect system is just simply not true. The most recent case, and this one really is shocking the world, a 10-year-old Japanese boy, he's actually half Chinese, half Japanese, he was attacked, and the assailant in his 40s did this on September 18th. Now, September 18th is supposed to be this national day of shame because that's the date that the Japanese invaded Manchuria and took the northern 3 provinces of China. And so this is clearly a hate crime. It's anti-Japanese hate crime. Now, where's the supposed safety that he's talking about? And this is the third one we've seen this year. The first was the 4 Americans in the northern part of China. Then it was a Chinese woman who stopped the assailant from reaching a bus full of Japanese kids in China, and now this time, the third time. Today we saw videos of people putting flowers in front of the school, but by nightfall, these flowers were removed. It's ingrained within a majority of the population to hate Japan, and to think that today's Japanese people are somehow still associated with Imperial Japan of World War II, and that today's people must somehow pay back those sins, or you say mistakes, or the horrific things that they were committed by Imperial Japan, during World War II. And that they must carry on the hate, the education of the hate in China through a very young age. Take a look at this video. Where in Japan would you see this type of activity for kids, where you dress up like the Chinese soldiers and you fight off the Japanese invaders? This, or I guess in Japan it would be the other way around, right? You dress up as the Imperial Japanese soldiers and you go invade China. No, they're not teaching kids that stuff in Japan. So it tells us that active promotion of anti-Japanese sentiment is something that's very real in China, and everybody knows about it. And the Chinese government has come out with the audacity saying that this is still an individual case. This is the third case against the top two adversaries of the CCP, which is the US and Japan. For the CCP to deny that, saying this is not caused by the constant brainwashing, is ridiculous. It's a lie. Now, from the three cases that we've seen this year, first the 4 college professors who were attacked, and then you had the Chinese woman who saved a bus full of kids, to now this 10-year-old, what we've learned is that we have no follow-up to what happened to the criminal. We have no thorough, open investigations into these 3 different cases, and ultimately, we can't trust the words of the CCP to say that these are individual cases, where we basically know that the idea of hating Japan, the idea of hating the United States, is the base of operation for the Chinese Communist Party. In fact, it's very easy for them to stop this type of hate. All they have to do is ban those videos on social media that promote, skits about attacking Japanese people or so-called, fighting against the oppressors, that is Japan. These sort of skits online, they're very popular among people. A lot of them get a lot of views. They can just, remove all of those things. They can easily condemn, as the foreign ministry or as the Chinese government, condemn this behavior, and that in turn would officially, stop this. But they haven't done any of that. They haven't removed any of those content. They haven't officially condemned this behavior. So what that tells us is that they are secretly still trying to promote this stuff. So I guess my biggest warning to anyone watching this video that really wants to go to China is that you can make your choice, you can still go, but know in the back of your mind that there's still a certain level of danger out there, especially if you're American or if you're Japanese or if you're Taiwanese. I think this is not me being exaggerated, I'm not exaggerating the severity of it. This has happened 3 times now. And I hope the Japanese government can really take this very seriously, because they do have an upcoming party election on September 27th or 28th, I believe. I think this is going to be a big issue, the China-Japanese relationship. But from any perspective that we can see this, it doesn't paint the picture that China is safe, especially not for foreigners. All right, let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about these videos? Have you seen any of them? Did any of these seem real or believable in terms of their argument when it comes to the US versus China or other countries versus China? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And also, thanks for watching this episode. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.